Kiki said something. He said he wouldn't call a cop if he needed one. What about y'all? If a situation happened and you knew that a cop was necessary, would you call him? Or would you just try to handle it yourself? Or who would you call? What do you say? Okay.
I mean, of course, yeah. You have to call the police.
Got to.
All police are human. They have families. They have lives to go to. They're afraid at times, you know, and they're saying cops with a badge because we have dealt with cops when they're out of uniform.
True.
You know, he's played with a kid whose dad is a Houston police officer. And we dealt with him without his badge on, out of his uniform. We had a situation that happened in the stands. One time he was out of uniform and everybody still kind of looked at him like,
What you gonna do?
like, hey, you know, you're police in here, you kind of want to get to that. Then you have times when you come in his uniform and everybody in the gym is kind of acting right and hey, it's a police officer in here, you know, you can go to jail, you know, or get yourself dealt with. So they're humans too is the point that I'm trying to make. They're humans, they have lives. You just have some of them, and this is kind of the thought that I guess most black men wonder, like, are there actually cops that wake up and say, let me see how many black men, N-words, however you want to call it, that I can mess with today? You really have to wonder that sometime about police officers. Do they wake up to bother you, or do they really wake up in the morning and say, I want to protect this many people today. I want to serve this many people today.
Yeah.
So, and they deal with a lot of crazy stuff. So,
And I hear you, but I don't. Like, they deal with stuff, but like, you know what you signed up for when you signed up for it. When you went to go play whatever sport you play, when you play whatever sport you play, in the middle of your basketball right now, you play basketball, you know that every time you step out on the floor it's a time, you can tear your ACL, you can tear your knee. It could be your last game. That's what you signed up for. That's what you love to do. That's what you want to do. You just don't sign up to be a cop if that's not what you want to do. You know what I'm saying? You have to want to be a cop. It's an academy. You go through a whole process. This has to be something that you have interest in, you want to do. It's always an out. Them 6 months, whatever, you can jump out of the academy anytime. So if you go through with this, it's going to be something that you want to do. So you must have something in you to want to help people, because that's what the copping about is about, policing the community. You know, it's about helping the people. But I just don't see that. You know, and I have a lot of my family that's cops.
Yeah.
My uncle, Secret Service, state troopers, all of them. So I get it and I understand. But at the same time, like you said, I also believe that it's a lot of cops. I believe before you go take a job like that, it must be a psychological check on all of them. Every single last one of them. If you want some type of job like that, you have to be mentally stable.
Well, let me ask you, do you think, that's a good point. Do you think that the job has caused some of them to become unstable because of what they've seen or what has come at them or what they had to do? Because I remember I had a couple of friends that are cops, and there was a young man that was killed one night, and I asked, I was like, why did they shoot him? He was at his house. They called for him to come get him. Why did they shoot him? And this is exactly what they told me. 2 different cop friends told me that. In our training, Dre, there are certain things that we are trained that are triggers. If that happens, we have to disarm the person. In this particular case, the man did have a weapon, and he was threatening to hurt the girlfriend or wife or whatever. And so when they came up, he was outside still kind of going off and belligerent. And the mom and sister said he turned to the cop almost like, I got this is my house kind of thing. And when he turned, the weapon was there. And so I asked him, and this is exactly what he said to me. He said, I know the cop. He was new, and I'm sure it started. You see what I'm saying? But when you start talking about police officers, it's one of those jobs where, like being a surgeon, you can't make a mistake. Because in your mistake, it will cost somebody their life. But because they're human, they make mistakes. And that's the only way I can even rationalize some behavior. Now, 846 wasn't no mistake. That was intentional. That was intentional. Because there's people everywhere telling you to stop. This man's not breathing. He's not. That's intentional. You know. So I think that when we look at it, kind of like, I'm gonna ask you, Bam, because you went to school for this. This was your major. Is it just a corrupt system? Is it fixable? Or are we looking at a civil war in America? What you think?
Is it fixable? I don't think so. In America, at the bottom line is the dollar. So we can talk about social injustice, racism. At the end of the day, it's gonna be about the dollar. And, you know, if somebody's in office because they know that somebody's, you know, they might know somebody who's wealthy to get them in office, things of that nature, cutting certain deals with people. I just think that's how it's always gonna be in America. I mean, you have people talk about other countries that they come from. They risk their lives to swim over in sewage just to get over to America. So, you know, I don't want to be dumb to the fact that, I mean, we live in a great country.
Absolutely.
Even with all this going on.
Absolutely.
It's not a dictatorship,
No.
you know, and people risk their whole lives, their family lives to swim to come over here. But can it be fixed? I just don't see how it can be fixed. You know, like the George Floyd incident, of course. I mean, I don't want to say incident, that's just a straight tragedy. You know, you think, man, like your ancestors back in the day, we had to have come a long way from that. And then you see that it's like, nah, we still really here.
Right.
So for me, I'm like, you know, 35, I think like, you know, I have a daughter now, but I think in my head like, it's really up to me to protect mine and my family at any means necessary. Because even if a cop come over to help you, he can be threatened by me. Like I tell my nephews all the time, you're 16, but you're 6'4".
Yeah.
You are a monster.
Yeah, yeah.
You know, they don't look at you as a kid. You are a monster to them. I work as a threat, and I'm just 6 foot.
Yeah.
You know? So it's a lot of times when I'm speaking to someone of the opposite race, I tend to not walk up too close to them, or I will sit down just so they'll feel at an equal playing field with me. And I don't think nobody look at me and say, oh man, he's just huge and a monster.
Right.
But I think, you know, that's kind of like what cops, how they view us, you know, as a monster. And like I say, the Floyd tragedy, it just, if it was a quick decision, something happened, a cop pulled his gun to kill somebody, you can always kind of go back and forth.
Yeah.
It was a spur of the moment, decision, his life, my life, that type of thing. But 8 minutes,
46, 7.
you know, you had plenty of time to say, hey, let me get up. This man is not a threat no more. He's not a harm to me. You know?
Yeah,
But you,
yeah.
you know, you decided to stay there. So it's just different for me.
Okay, so I ask y'all this. So if this is the world we live in, what do? Because you got a baby, I got a grandson, you got 3 kids, sit right here. 2 sons, my daughter, y'all have no children. You got a daughter,
Please, Lord.
you got 4 kids, you know, what do we do? Like, what do we do? Because as a mom, as an auntie, as a sister, I can't in my wildest dream imagine getting that phone call by none of y'all. Like, don't call me with that. Don't, like, I remember each one of these children. You know, I remember watching Trayvon Martin's mom sit through that trial. And she was so heroic. I actually watched that trial. And even his dad, they never flinched. They kept a very positive attitude. They were never mean. They never really, you know, they handled it well. But in the back of my mind, I kept thinking to myself, I can't imagine how his dad must feel. Because remember, when that man was killing him, he was right there in the backyard. They were in the house watching TV, and that man was murdering that baby right outside the door. Like, as a dad, to know that someone murdered your child and you were right there, like, my brain cannot process that. And so part of me is like, do they not think we're human? We are human beings. We love, we feel, we just like any other race. You know, so it's like, what do you do?